over 55 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the Georgia Farm Bureau in association with Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College.
Please enter. Don't be shy. Our home is your home as we welcome you to another episode of the Farm Monitor. Ray DeLisio, Jennifer Parson at your service.
Yes, happy you could join us. And today we've got a little bit of everything, lots of variety. Straight ahead, citrus in Georgia is no longer a backyard experiment. This once unlikely crop is now a thriving industry. Coming up, how farmers' patience and perseverance are bearing fruit in a big way. Also on the program, meet a Georgia man whose troubled past led him to faith, recovery, and a second chance in farming. His powerful story of resilience and grace.
And then later, it's a bittersweet farewell to the outgoing chair of the Georgia Farm Bureau Women's Leadership Committee, Stephanie Branch. From hands-on farming to legislative advocacy, her efforts in ag education are bridging that gap between tradition and innovation. These stories and so much more right now on the Farm Monitor.
Well, it's not every day you get to be part of something new and exciting. And while it does come with plenty of challenges, it also presents an opportunity for those willing to take a chance. As Damon Jones reports, that's the case for citrus growers around the state as they finally get the chance to harvest a fully mature crop.
Georgia is considered one of the most agriculturally diverse states in the country, with everything from apples to zucchini being grown. However, until recently, that list did not include citrus, as it needed farmers taking a leap of faith in order to get the ball rolling.
You know, rarely do you get to be a part of something as a first generation of anything. And really everyone growing citrus right now in Georgia, this is the first time it's ever been done. And so I'm not saying people haven't played around with a few citrus trees in the backyard, but as a commercial industry, this is new for our state. And it has really grown into something spectacular.
That progress didn't come without some trial and error, as each experience provided a new data point for these first-time growers.
The tree changes, the market changes, we're learning, we're trying one thing that doesn't work, and we find out next year to try something different. So we're still trying to fine-tune in on exactly what we can do to keep the fruit small, to keep the flavor there. So there's a really fine balance on how to get the right size and the right quality.
All that hard work and patience is coming to fruition this year as growers finally get to harvest their first fully mature crop. That means consumers can expect some of the highest quality fruit grown right here in the state.
A tree needs a few years to kind of get up and going, not only from a yield perspective, but also flavor. And we have found that juvenile citrus trees don't really have the same flavor as a more mature tree. And so what we're trying to do is really get those trees into year 5, 6, and 7 when that bricks and that acid is the perfect reading for an experience that you just can't find anywhere else. And you don't get the same experience off a 1 or 2 year old tree.
After almost no production over the past couple of years due to a late freeze in 2022, trees are overflowing as harvest season gets underway. That means this new packing facility in Tifton will be working overtime in order to keep up with the yields.
I was surprised that they put on this much this year. We do a lot of pruning. We do an extensive fertility program. We scout real hard. It takes a lot of money to get these trees to where they're at now. It takes a lot of people and a lot of money. It's a good experience. It's fine to see something with 5 years of hard work come together and getting our first harvest. It's good quality fruit. Genuine Georgia, doing a good job marketing and selling. We've got a place to go with the fruit, so it's a good feeling.
This could be just the beginning, with production in Florida falling off more than 90% over the past couple of decades.
With what's going on in Florida and opportunity in the citrus business, it was natural for it to flow north. And there is a hole in the market that I feel like our particular citrus is going to be able to fill, and it's being met with wide open arms. Our retailers and our wholesalers and the customers are ready for it. It's almost like a breath of fresh air that we've got this burgeoning industry right here in the South.
Reporting from Tifton, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Dedication, passion, and a long-lasting legacy. Those are just a few words that describe the tenure of GFB's outgoing young farmer and rancher chairs, Cleve and Amelia Jackson. However, As our John Holcomb reports, despite their term ending, the impact of their leadership will no doubt be seen for years to come.
For Cleve and Amelia Jackson, the choice to serve and lead as the Georgia Farm Bureau Young Farmer and Rancher State Committee chairs was an easy decision and was something they had a shared desire to do to further a cause they both deeply believe in.
Cleve and I have always wanted to jump into the opportunity of leadership positions if they're available, because we want to do something better with what's around us, and so we figured this is a great next step. And when the opportunity came open for District 1, we put our hat in it, and we were excited to take the chance to be able just to be on the committee. And then when the chance came open to run for chairs, we were at that point again where we were hoping to do something for everybody else around us, and we thought, why not? Let's try that too.
However, their decision wasn't just about personal growth. It was also about a passion they both have for agriculture and making sure the industry has a voice.
Every day, farmers like us across the state and across the nation are working hard to put food on our tables. But if we don't take that next step and get involved in organizations like Farm Bureau that is serving as our voice, you know, at the state and the national level, that's serving as a unifying body for agriculture in Georgia, then we lose our seat at the table. So it's vitally important that farmers like us continue to be engaged in organizations like Farm Bureau, because through organizations like that, we can tell our story.
For the Jacksons, leaving a lasting legacy was a must, which is why they put a lot of their focus and attention on growing the program.
Our end goal was to leave the Young Farmer and Rancher program better than we found it. And the best way we knew to do that was to get more people involved, because we know that serving in the Young Farmer and Rancher Committee and doing the Young Farmer and Rancher events are really going to sink the teeth into the other young farmers and ranchers across the state. And so what we focused our committee efforts on were to increase participation at all of our events, culminating in our Summer Leadership Conference, where our goal was to have at least one person from every county represented at the conference. We didn't quite make that, but our attendance increased from last year to this year, and we were really proud of that. And from the engagement we had across the state, we saw people that had never been, a lot of first-time attenders come to the conference that had never been, and we know that they will come back because of the experience they had and make our organization stronger.
Though their time has come to an end, Cleve says the work is far from over, as he believes the need for engagement must continue in order to develop the next generation of ag leaders.
There's no doubt that Farm Bureau and the counties and the groups across the state do a wonderful job of educating consumers, of connecting with legislators and representatives, but that work is never done. Just like a farmer in the field always has things to do, our list is endless, right? The same can be said for our opportunity to engage and to connect with the consumer, the legislator, the representative, and not just us personally, but collectively across the state. We have great engagement from our members, but we could always do better, especially in the Young Farmer and Rancher program, to continue to develop that next generation of Farm Bureau leaders.
Reporting in Cave Spring for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
When we come back, from hard drugs and alcohol to a peaceful life in the orchard, Trip Stillwell's journey is one of pain, recovery, and redemption. How farming helped him rebuild his life. Next.
My name is Billy Waldron. I'm the owner and operator of Deep South Peanut in Douglas, Georgia, as well as in Alma, Georgia. My father started this business in 1987. It was our first year buying peanuts, and then in 2007, we put in another buying point in Alma, and we've been here, ever since buying peanuts. We bought peanuts for Birdsong for quite a few years, and then we got into a shelling co-op at Premium Peanut now, and we've been there for 10 years. Hurricane Helene hit in Coffee County, and we spent that day, Thursday and the day before on Wednesday, preparing as best we could. This never happened in our area. So I think 100% of the community didn't know what to expect. Wasn't this, that's for sure. We took time and we tried to secure the place and anchor the elevators and those kind of things, which you can see behind me. And obviously we didn't do a very good job. And So we just tried to take care of the place and prepare, the best we could for worst case scenario, and that's exactly what we got. I've tried to warn all of our customers that this is going to be a very different harvest for us, and but we'll make it. These farmers are resilient people. South Georgians are resilient people, and we've seen a great example of that in the last week.
On that note, Georgia's top ag organizations, including Georgia Farm Bureau, have launched a relief fund for farmers impacted by Helene. With donations already exceeding $1 million, the goal is now over $1.5 million. To donate, scan the QR code on your screen or visit gfb.org/hurricane relief. All contributions are tax deductible. Moving on now, it's a heartwarming story of redemption. After years of struggling with addiction, who would have thought a pair of old farm boots and a chance meeting with pecan farmer Kason Anderson would bring a new beginning for Tripp Stillwell?
I do a little bit of everything, from irrigation during the winter time, running the chainsaw when weather's come and we got limbs down, to sweeping if we need sweeping, or right now I particularly run the harvester throughout the harvest season.
Tripp Stillwell spends his days working in this pecan orchard.
I grew up in Cordell, Georgia. My grandpa, he was a pecan farmer.
But 2 years ago, he lived a very different life.
After high school, I chose the path of I never let the party end. I chose the path of hard drugs and alcohol.
He says he struggled finding happiness and spiraled out of control, leaning on controlled substances to get him through the day.
The first time I used, it was marijuana when I was about 11 years old. I had already been drinking, sneaking alcohol when I could. And as high school progressed and, that continued seeking validation progressed, the drugs got harder and harder. I was a young punk kid who had a chip on his shoulder and wanted to prove something that he didn't need to prove.
The darkness would get even darker as Tripp recalls wanting to end his life.
I would stay up for extremely long periods of time. I would allow myself to get very dehydrated and malnourished, and I'd hope to pass out while I was on the road. And there were many times I woke up with my truck in the ditch next to a tree, just waking up several hours after I'd wrecked, not knowing how I'd gotten there.
And with addiction came other consequences too.
When I was 16, I got arrested my first time. Then the next time when I was 19, it was a serious charge. It was a felony.
After 15 years down a dead-end road, Tripp finally received a wake-up call.
I was looking at being incarcerated for many years, and I needed something different, because every time I had went to one of those places, I came back out wanting to do the same thing. And I asked my officer, could I do something different? And he allowed me to go to the rescue mission.
His time at the rescue mission connected him to others with similar struggles and a higher power known for grace.
It was there that I surrendered my life and found the Lord.
I met Tripp late 2022. We were in like a men's group at church, and a lot of people in that room had different stories, but at the end of the day, we were all more similar than we thought. He had some boots on, and I heard him say the word Crifts County, and I was like, who do you know down there? What do you do? He said, oh, I know this farmer and this person. And I said, well, I know them too.
And I wholeheartedly believe that he made me wear these boots to that church service on the particular night that my boss would be there. And he opened the door for me back to farming. Most people wouldn't have gave me a chance in the world. The Lord he works in perfect timing. He knew where I needed to be, when I needed to be there, with the person who was going to be there at the same time.
He says his time on the tractor helps him connect to the one that paved his path to recovery and ultimately back to agriculture.
I'm never isolated. I'm always with the one who brought me through all that stuff. That really gives me my time to work on the stuff that he wants me to work on. He reveals things to me in that tractor that I can't get revealed to anywhere else because the world's going on around it. It's just me and him in there and the orchard. I look at it like, man, he created all this around me and I get to tend it.
And he has some advice for others who may be struggling too.
Shame and guilt, they drove me to do it for as many years as I did it because I didn't want to feel like I needed help from anybody. I'm a man, I'm supposed to do those things on my own. My advice to anybody going through that is tell on it. Bring it to the light and share what you're going through with someone like me who's been through the same thing. I promise there's many people out there, whether they're in a church, whether they're on a 988 hotline, that have been through something similar and that want to help you.
Like Tripp said, don't let shame or guilt prevent you from seeking help. Chances are someone else close to you is going through something similar. You can find resources at 988lifeline.org or can call or text 988 on your phone.
Great job, Jennifer. Thanks so much. Well, from the hills of Rabun County to the classrooms of ABAC, Stephanie Branch's journey in agriculture is as diverse as Georgia itself. After the break, you're going to see how the outgoing GFB Women's Leadership Committee chair is making a difference, one youngster at a time.
The dairy industry anticipates a period of optimism and opportunity, despite broader struggles for ag markets. Dan Bossy, president of AgriSource Company, says while crops like corn, wheat, and soybeans face lower margins, dairy is positioned for growth.
U.S. farm income will be down somewhere in the vicinity of $42 billion, which is the largest drop in farm income over a 2-year period on record. And so the U.S. farmer, in a general sense, is struggling, though the dairy industry is doing a little better relative to the milk market.
One of the driving factors behind the optimism is the record-breaking $8 billion being invested into the U.S. dairy processing industry. The unprecedented expansion is expected to bolster demand for milk.
We see Class 3 prices holding well above 18 or 19 for the extended range, and I think this is going to bode well for the U.S. dairy industry. For the 85 to 88% of the dairy industry, its break-even cost is somewhere around $17.20, and that tells me that we're making money today.
While global demand for dairy rises, Bossy points out that U.S. dairy producers are in a unique position. With little to no expansion anticipated in Europe, the U.S. is set to fill the void.
If the world continues to see more demand for, let's say, butterfat in terms of cheese and butter itself, we are relatively optimistic for the next 2 to 5 years on the U.S. dairy industry because it is the one place where we need to see additional supply and export demand.
The beef on dairy trend is another bright spot. With limited feeder cattle supplies, prices are projected to hit all-time highs by next year, and crossbred calves are becoming an increasingly beneficial option for dairy producers.
I think the dairy industry provides that future opportunity of using maybe 1 million animals a year of beef on dairy that we'll have to continue to supply, because I just don't think the beef cow herd will be coming along fast enough.
While the dairy industry landscape evolves, producers are advised to assess their herds and focus on long-term productivity and growth opportunities. For Holstein Association USA, I'm Bob Cervera.
Finally this week, known for its sprawling hills and crystal clear water sources, Rabun County is rich with agriculture, even if the sprawling fields of the south aren't immediately visible. Nestled there in a private setting, you'll find Stephanie Branch, who is wrapping up an incredible year, having served as the Women's Leadership Committee Chair for Georgia Farm Bureau. Her commitment to ag ed and her passion for the rural lifestyle have made Stephanie an inspiration for many. Stephanie Branch's journey is deeply rooted in her upbringing in Rabun County. Although she didn't initially grasp the agricultural essence of her surroundings, her perspective changed after moving south and attending Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College. There, she immersed herself in a different facet of agriculture, enriching her understanding and bringing this knowledge back to her hometown.
Sometimes we have to take a step back because Georgia is so diverse and we're so different in this area, but I feel like we have almost more of a historical type of agriculture. I mean, it's definitely here and it's around. It's just not in the same format that you're going to see when you hit, you know, the flatlands and when you're headed south. So we don't have the size acreage farms that are, you know, down south. If there's a will and a way and you can put a fence on it, it doesn't matter how the lay of the land is, you can make it work.
As the Women's Committee Chair, Stephanie's role extends far beyond mere advocacy. She's become an educator and a mentor, sharing the wide array of agricultural practices in Rabun County with enthusiasm.
Her dedication to agricultural education is evident in her involvement with various initiatives and partnerships, from collaborating with local library systems to engaging assisted living centers. Stephanie's outreach efforts aim to make agricultural knowledge accessible to everyone.
Just being able to really highlight the Appalachian Mountains and some of our cultures and our history, because we are full of history. And to me, that, you know, agriculture and history go hand in hand. So absolutely, it's been a great year, and I will actually be sad when I'm handing it over to someone new. But at the same time, I think it's awesome because, you know, it gives another person a chance to do the same thing that I'm doing now.
Under Stephanie's leadership, the Women's Committee embodies the diverse backgrounds and passions of its members. Each member bringing a unique strength to the table, whether it's educational outreach, legislative advocacy, or hands-on farming. Stephanie's focus on education, especially targeting the youth, aims to instill a lifelong appreciation for agriculture. She believes that starting early is crucial for fostering a deep understanding of where food and clothing come from.
Our largest downfalls is not starting early enough with our youth, and it doesn't have to be livestock, but it's just a way that any type of education, whether it's horticulture or just something that they can relate to and learn from, and just, you know, really letting them know that you do not have to live on a farm. You can live in the middle of the city and you are part of agriculture. You know, you can live in an apartment, and then we just kind of go from there. So I just feel like maybe just getting out and talking to people and letting them know, maybe just finding that involvement.
Now, Stephanie will be the first to tell you she is always on the go. She cannot sit still. Whether it's advocating for Georgia Farm Bureau or for the Women's Committee, she's always on the move. However, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, her happy place is right here at home. A place that in itself is its own agricultural gem.
It is, and I'm always outside, and we're always out. And for the most part, things are pretty much always the same. We're routine based, and you know, we don't have fields of crops, but we we raise the livestock and we make it work with, you know, the amount of room that we have, and it's extremely peaceful. Some of the best times are cleaning stalls. I can, you know, kind of come up with my ideas of what I want to do, and a lot of the times we'll have conference calls, you know, and I'll be like, hey, I just thought about this when I'm cleaning stalls, or I'm doing something, you know, up at the sheep barn or at the horse barn or whatever. And so it's definitely a good time to clear your mind and be able to think.
As Stephanie approaches the end of her term as chair, she reflects on the achievements and legacy she hopes to leave. Initiatives like the Women's Leadership Committee newsletter, The Scoop, aim to enhance communication and awareness across the state. By highlighting the committee's diverse activities and the impact of their work, Stephanie hopes to inspire future leaders and broaden the reach of agricultural advocacy.
Georgia Farm Bureau is just such a huge organization that allows that, and it allows, you know, people like me to take a position like I'm in and go out and kind of just give it my twist, you know, to what I would like to see change in our area. So, absolutely.
Yeah, rest assured, Stephanie's involvement with Georgia Farm Bureau will continue for many years to come.
Unfortunately, our time is up. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor. Have a great week.